Welcome to this next episode of the Beloved Miracles Couples Project. Today, I'm reaching from Norway to Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Hello, Greg and Melanie.
Hey.
Let me introduce you guys. Greg and Melanie Greenough are sought-after international speakers, trainers, and seven-figure earners in the network marketing industry. They have a passion for seeing people create freedom in their personal and professional lives. They have been featured in multiple media publications, including Success from Home, My Business at Home, Fox Business, CNN, and most recently, The Most Powerful Woman in Network Marketing. Melanie was featured as a trainer at that event with Eric and Marina Worre in Las Vegas. They love to travel, have new adventures, and see people change their lives and live their dreams. As leaders, they are committed to showing others how anything is possible for those who are willing to believe and take action toward their dreams. So Greg and Melanie, where does your story begin?
Oh man, I'm gonna let you go first.
It was about 10 years ago, actually. We were both in the same system, working on separate projects, but the same project, actually. Funny enough, we were working towards a common goal, but we didn't know it. And he lived about 16 hours away, and I had been working and he had been working very hard. He actually had achieved a lot of accolades already in his new career and was getting a lot of recognition, notoriety around the country. And I was asked to go down and meet with him to bring together our projects. And when I saw him, I thought, dang, that's fine. That's what I do to him. And but then my second thought was, he's trouble. I need to stay away from him. And so we actually just kind of connected, and I don't know, about
started working together. Definitely, we were working together for a few months on that project within that system. And yeah, it was kind of weird because definitely wasn't looking to get into a relationship at all. I was very focused on business, to the point where it was obsessed, and it kind of caught me off guard. I fell in love with her before we even started dating. So it's been a wild ride. But anyways, from the time that we met and got married, it was a matter of 6 months. And she was very clear from the get-go that I don't date. So if we're gonna date, you better put a ring on it. And I actually took her up to go meet my family, and she went to the washroom, and my mom pulled me aside and she whispered in my ear. She said, "Son, you better marry that girl before she figures you out." So it was, our story really begins in business, working on within the same company and the same system, from two different demographics, and we came together kind of in the middle to meet at a meeting. And as they say, the rest is kind of history. We've been married, building business ever since. You know what I mean? And then we have two daughters. I've got well, she's almost 19 now, 19-year-old daughter, and she has an 18-year-old daughter. They're about 6 months apart, but they both live with us full time. And it was an immediate family. They've gotten along since day one, since they met each other. It's wild. Like, people are like, do they ever fight? And I'm just like, no, oddly enough, me and Melanie do all the fighting in the house. They're more like the referees. But no, it's been wild. It's been extremely exciting. Never a dull moment. They're both girls, by the way. So, and recently in this past year, my mother-in-law, her mother has actually moved in with us too. So we got a boy puppy now. So we're starting to get the numbers up on the testosterone in here, but we're still a little shy. But I've learned a lot in the last 6 years about women, things that I think every man should know. Life would go much better.
Yeah. And one of the things that when we started working together, we lived 16 hours apart. So we drove back and forth. Like, we got married, and still, because of the demographic and because of our kids and because of the way things were, we still drove back and forth for almost a year and a half, right? before, well, I tried to move to where he lived, but there was way too much snow.
Her exact words were, she's like, this is not going to work. All my shoes are open-toed.
So then he moved to Vancouver, and here we are.
Congratulations, you guys. I mean, you know, there's a magic to how these things happen that's so far beyond anything we actually can't understand. But it's an amazing story nonetheless, yeah? And then you mentioned systems. So obviously you were implementing systems individually before you came together. Is that correct?
Yes.
And
yes,
then
sir.
What shifted? Like what changed for you coming together, and you were implementing the same system? So that maybe that wasn't such an overlap. It actually was the same system.
I don't think anything really changed as far as the system goes. We just became a lot more effective and efficient together because we brought two different skill sets. I come from a very blue collar background prior to getting into business for myself. And my wife, Melanie here, she comes from a business background. She actually owned two traditional businesses beforehand. So I was, like I said, very blue collar. So I knew how to roll up my sleeves and go to work. And I'm kind of a guy of tell me what to do and I'll do it. Whereas she's more of a very good at planning and forecasting and coaching and getting the best out of people and just all around business sense. Her business brain, honestly, from the moment that we met, within the first, I think, 3.5, 4 months, from what I was producing within that system that I was working on, it quadrupled, at least quadrupled in the first 3.5, 4 months that we started working together, because there was a lot of structure that was missing because I was just running around like a chicken with my head cut off. Doing the work, you know, there's that saying, you know, hard work beats talent every day when talent refuses to work hard. And then I think what happened was talent got together with hard work, and it was kind of like a 1 + 1 = 4 kind of equation.
Brilliant.
But one of the things that also changed for us too, I think, like he's absolutely accurate in the fact that we bring different strengths. He's really good with helping the newer people that we're starting with that are learning the skills that we have. He's so good at, you know, taking them from where they are to growing over time into what he's become, which is one of the top leaders in the industry. And that's been a big deal for me because I'm not so good with the new people. I'm very tough and I'm very focused, and I don't have a lot of time for the whining that can happen when new people are overcoming stuff, you know, and that's just not my skill set. So that's been really good. One of the things and one of the challenges, I think, that if you're, you know, if we're talking to couples out there that are working together or learning to work together, even though we have the same system, we are both alpha personalities. And so that has been and still is our biggest conflict, because I want it my way, he wants it his way. And although we're both right, you can be right or you can be rich. And being rich is a lot better than saying I is smart. So that is tricky.
Well, I think one of the things too that you know, people watching the show should understand, and it's something that, you know, we're constantly reminding ourselves every day, is that, you know, one's not wrong. You know what I mean? It's not wrong. It's just different. You know what I mean? Not wrong, just different.
Which is actually a motto at our house now.
But unfortunately, all of us, not just in marriage and stuff, but we're so busy trying to be right that we miss the, you know, the forest from the trees, so to speak. You know, and just understand that other people's ideas and it's just not wrong. It's just different.
Brilliant, brilliant. And this seems to dovetail somewhat with my experience that, and I'd love to get your take on this, that, you know, there's a bit of a little more old school methodology of how business has been done worldwide in all industries for a long time, right? Which is the weakest link in the chain. And if that weak link breaks, the whole thing falls apart. And it's very competitive, you know, based almost way back to like a Darwinian theory, right? That this alpha male or female and the top dog wins and then the others lose. But in 2017, wouldn't you agree, there is a new tone, a new rhythm becoming more and more available to dance to in business. And I'm seeing it in all industries. And the best I can put words on it is that creativity is beginning to trump of all people, trump competition. Does that
Well,
make sense in your experience?
I'll tell you the number one thing, social media. It's so funny. I'm reading a book right now on Instagram by a fashionista, of all people. And the millennials have changed business. And they may not know they've changed business, but they want community. They want a voice. They want freedom. They want value. They don't want mass production. They want uniqueness. They want to be able to express themselves. It's just a very different way of being. And it kind of started like with us, well, more with him. But so for whatever reason, I'm young in my head and my heart. So I end up thinking like a millennial. And Greg was right at the beginning of that millennial era. So he actually, I see him flip between the my way, this is how we're doing it, leadership style, which he doesn't do very often actually, into
just when I'm right.
into the collaborative, you know, we should get the, you know, team's opinion and we need to find out what everybody's got value, everything you just said. So I absolutely agree the climate's changing. But I think that, you know, as we're learning to be in that environment, it's a difficult thing because we have to, as leaders, I don't care what industry, as bosses, CEOs, doesn't matter, we have to learn to cast our vision and share our passion in a way that the millennials and that new tone can still follow while adding value. And that's a tricky thing because they'll come up with all sorts of good ideas that are good ideas in their own minds. And in reality, they're not good ideas, right? But we don't want to crush that because that's the very thing they're on the look for. They want to know, if I offer you my opinion, if I offer you my idea, are you going to slam me and tell me that it's wrong? And I think we have to, and it's a very tricky dance as leaders coming out of that society of dictator, this is how it's done, there's one right way. So it's very, very challenging. I think you're absolutely accurate and beyond right. I think we're going to see a massive shift. And I think that what I'm loving and what I just read in this Instagram book, and I'm learning myself on social media, is that we have to get very good at telling a story with our own lives. And it has to be in such a way that they can see and follow and copy. But it's challenging in the fact that, like, you know, and I'm just going to use our own lives. Greg and I, you know, have had some pretty amazing experiences. We've had like 36 vacations, right? In 10 years, like crazy number of vacations. Before that, I took no vacations, like none. I couldn't afford a vacation.
Porta Backyarda.
Porta Backyarda, that's right. So, but, you know, and if I look through my camera roll and through our computer, we have thousands of pictures of the most amazing places we've been, top restaurants we've been in, but we were not thinking like a millennial and sharing that content on Instagram or sharing it on social media in a way that would inspire them into action. And so last Christmas, Greg got a Maserati, right, for Christmas. That's a very cool car. Like, that was a big deal for him. But, you know, did we ever take a really good picture in the sun and post that? No. Like, what are we thinking? So I do agree with you. The millennials have changed the way we do business, but we are struggling. Us old people are struggling to struggling to catch up with it, you know? And I think the faster we catch up, the more studying we do, the more aware we become, the faster we're going to motivate these young people to go for their dreams and do something more than the mundane. Your thoughts?
You said it as well as I could.
Yeah, I mean, it was what you described is very clear. I agree, Greg. It's a question, right? It's a question along these lines, and I'd like to hear how you guys answer this. Like, and you know how it comes, right? It comes with a bit of a judgment, and it's coming through past filters of being wounded in this industry, right? They're not happy, and you come along with an opportunity, and they're saying, come on, what do you do? What do you really do, right? And maybe they're even an entrepreneur. They have a lot of business experience, and they look at this model, this system of doing business the way you just described it, you know? still following while adding value, telling a story with your own lives. And they say, come on, what are you selling? How do you answer that question, guys?
Well, the very simple answer to that would always be hope. I think the biggest thing that the world needs is hope. You know what I mean? We're so bogged down and spoon-fed through propaganda, through TV and radio and newspapers and you name it, coworkers. The environment that we live in is so negative these days and so discouraging and cynical. Oh my gosh, it's so cynical. Like I'm a crazy hockey fan. Like being from Canada, hopefully you are too. Norway's got a pretty decent team in the Olympics too. But like I'm obsessed with hockey. But one of the things that I noticed that when I do watch too much hockey, even just the sports broadcasters, they're so cynical. They cut other people down to try and lift themselves up. And it's that competitive mindset that you were talking about. So that's the environment that everybody lives in. And so what you do is you come in, you know, so you've got this this idea of what, or people have, you know, society, we have this idea of the way that we think it's supposed to be. Discouraging, negative, cynical, dog eat dog, you know what I mean? And it's just the environment we live in, so it's our normal. And then we come in with this system and it's a completely different idea. It's radical. It makes no sense. It goes against every way of thinking that we all have, you know, as far as social proof goes. And so you come in with hope and it clashes up against the terror barrier of what their mindset is because they've been so programmed. So when people say, what are you selling? I mean, that's a bullet, you know, but the truth is at the core of it, we really are selling hope and an opportunity for people to, you know, if you relate it to the Matrix, you know, take the blue pill or the red pill, but once you take the blue pill, you can never go back, you know? And so, Melanie, I think is doing a picture right now so that we can tell a story with our life. And I get so easy, I get so distracted. So have you ever seen that movie Up? Squirrel. Nevertheless, but what we're selling hope, and I think people need hope. People really need hope, and it's an education process. Definitely, when you're going in with this new idea, some people will accept it because they've come to a place like I did prior to getting introduced to this industry of just being sick and tired, so sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired, and just looking at where my parents were and everybody in the career that I had prior to getting involved in business. I mean, I just had to take a look at the results of people that have been doing what I was doing for the last 30, 40 years and seeing where their life was. And I'm like, I don't want that. That's the only thing I'm certain of. That's not what I want. You know, I didn't even really know what I wanted, but I knew I didn't want that. And then somebody came in with this idea of what are you selling? And I went to an event and this hope, like the spark kind of, you know, I don't even know how to explain it. It was just like, it challenged the way I thought about pretty much everything. But I was willing to take a chance because I was so sick and tired, you know, and I often close a lot of my meetings like that. I say to people, like, straight up, like, if there's not a spark, if something didn't excite you, if there's something didn't get you thinking and challenging your thinking, this probably isn't for you. You know what I mean? I'm not going to try and, you know, there's that old saying, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. And we're not in the convincing business. No matter what business you're working on online, these, you know, in 2017, I mean, we're selling products and services, but at the end of the day, we're selling hope to people for a better tomorrow than what they have today.
And we have to be able to paint that vision. We have to be able to, with our words, because people think in pictures, we have to create the idea for them that they can even have more. Imagine our children in the last 10 years have grown up. We don't have jobs, right? We work from home. Our neighbors think we're drug dealers because there's people at our house all the time and we never leave. Like, we go out in our Maserati, right? But we don't have a job. So, and people ask us, what do you do? We're like, well, you know, what do you do? So the thing is, our kids have grown up so differently. So our kids, you know, they decide to go do something. Like, for example, one of my daughters found a school in Panama. She's going to go to the school in Panama. And she had to apply for it. Out of 5,000 people, there was like 20 accepted. She was one of them. Then her sister decided she wanted to do it. She also got accepted because they think so differently. They stand out like that. But
same
they,
with the,
they had to
fine arts
raise
school.
$10,000 each to go do that. We don't give them the money. They had to go do it. They put a plan in place. They're brave. They're traveling to Panama by themselves. And going to 2 separate places. So the point of that is that we've always painted the picture for them that whatever you decide you want to do, whatever stirs your heart, whatever moves you, if you are brave, if you put a plan in place, and if you're willing to work hard, it can happen. And so when we're out and about, you asked, what are we selling? I think hope and vision, because the average person does not have a vision for their lives. They literally alarm clock. They drag their butts out of bed. They drag themselves to a job they can barely stand with, people they don't want to hang out with. If they're lucky, they work in one of the bigger companies that's actually starting to clue into environment and culture. But even then, there's a ceiling. Oh my gosh, I went to a lunch yesterday with a guy who is from Dubai. And he said 3 times, this is my manager. She was 10 years his junior. He was sharp, well-dressed, should have been a CEO for real, like just a sharp as a tack. The girl sitting with him, wow, low energy, not dressed well. She's his manager because she'd been there 8 years and he'd been there 1. Make me throw up. If you put me in a system like that, it is not going to go well. The building might explode. So we have an opportunity to share with people, your life doesn't have to be like that. Within 2 minutes of talking to that guy, I didn't tell him what I did. I told him very little. He wanted to be in business with me because of the way I talk, because of my cadence, because of my joy, because of my unwillingness to bend to the norm. He literally was attracted. So I think we have to, with our lives, sell that vision and be the hope that they can have something different than the mundane. Like, aren't we all done with average and ordinary already? Like, aren't we done? Like, I look at my neighbors and I'm like, dude, call me whatever, but don't make me live like that. Don't make me. I can't do it. Sorry.
Yeah, that's clear. That's clear. And then the other one that comes usually along with this, if you guys don't mind, because I think your wisdom on this, your experience with this is really valuable for all of us who have a chance to hear it. Is this this isn't network marketing, right? Like when you get the industry objection, how do you address that now in 2017?
Of course it's network marketing. Are you crazy? It's the only way it's going to go.
Yeah, I wouldn't do anything else.
Right? Do you think that, seriously, this is my answer. The world is changing and you have 2 options. Number 1, you are going to learn e-commerce and direct sales, or you are going to be out of work. That's your option. So you can either learn it now or you can learn it in 10 to 20 years. Your choice. 10 to 20 years, not a good idea because you're going to be so far behind the curve. You could start now and in 10 years or 20 years, be the expert, be the one earning millions of dollars, be the master, or you can be just getting started. Your choice. But I love that quote. What's that quote about? The education, you can be educated and you'll wake up one day and find out that the world has passed you by because your education was from 20 years ago. Do you remember that quote?
Sort of.
It'll come to me. It's from Think and Grow Rich, I think.
No.
But he talks about, you were born rich?
No.
Anyways, he talks about the fact that you can get an education all you want to, but by the time your education is done, the world's already changed and it is moving at Mach speed. And you have 2 choices. You will learn the internet and you will learn social media, or you will be left behind. And so really one of the reasons I have that Instagram book is because I'm teaching my kids to build a following on Facebook, which by the way is, an amazing platform, Instagram, which is the new Facebook, and then Snapchat, which they're teaching me. So you guys, we have to change. And network marketing is the way of the future, period. So like it or don't like it, but that's how companies are going to be marketing because it's cheaper, faster, more effective, and creates more loyalty than any other model on the planet. I've been a business owner. I've had 44 employees, stock on the shelf, $65,000 a month in overhead before I made a dime. That deal is dead. It's dead. So like it or don't like it, you're crazy if you don't like network marketing. That's my simple answer.
So definitely, I think when people give us that objection, Timothy, I think that what it is they're just testing us to see how much we believe.
So true.
Straight up. Any objection that you're getting before the invitation process or after you share your system with them, and any objections that they're giving you before they get started, or they're just testing to see how much you believe. I'll never forget this. I remember it was the deciding moment for me when I decided that this was going to be a career choice for me, and I wasn't just going to dip my toes in it and try it anymore and hopefully make a little bit of money on the side, you know. And I was sitting with a friend of mine who I'd been pestering for, oh my gosh, months, you know, and he's like, oh, I'm not it, blah, I don't do those things, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, we were playing hockey, and one day after hockey, we went and sat down at a pub. We were having a couple of beers. And so maybe it was the couple of beers that gave me the liquid courage or whatever, but we started talking a little bit about the industry, and then he was giving me every excuse in the book, you know, because I drew it out on a napkin for him, and he's like, oh, you know, I don't know. He goes, it looks really good, but I got to talk to my girlfriend. And then I overcame that objection. And then he was like, well, I just don't know if I have time for this. And he's like, then I overcame that objection because I learned some techniques, you know, feel, felt, found. I'm like, I understand how you feel. I felt the same way. What I found was, then he gave me another objection. It was like 7 objections into it. I think all of them you can possibly get. I just remember getting upset, slamming my beer on the table, and I said, listen, your options are you can come make money with me or watch me do it. I don't know the answers to all these questions, but I'm going to figure it out. And I'm so sick and tired of going to work and coming home and my daughter's already in bed, leaving for work in the morning and she's still sleeping, having no influence in her life whatsoever, living paycheck to paycheck, just barely covering, going to work 12, 14 hours a day so I can just make my mortgage payment, just make my car bills, just put my daughter into dance, just pay for the groceries. Just enough is not good enough for me. As far as I know, you only live once. And I'm sick and tired of this. I've been doing this for 12 years. It ain't working for me anymore. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to figure out how to make this work. And your options are you can come with me or you can watch me do it. What's it going to be? And I just remember him saying, calm down. All right, I'll do it. I'll do it. So here's what I learned in that process is that these objections, whether it's, is this network marketing? Is this whatever? They're just testing to see how much you believe, to see if you have a wishbone or a backbone. And people already know how to go nowhere, you guys. So if you'll stand up and believe in something, you know, the best definition I ever heard of a critic is somebody that knows everything but believes in nothing.
Oh, so good.
The world needs you to believe in something and offer hope to people because people are hopeless. They already know how to go nowhere. And where the people lack vision, they cast off restraint. And that's why you see people drinking themselves to a stupor, working at jobs they hate, sitting in front of the boob tube for, you know, the electronic income reducer or television, whatever you want to call it. You know, what is it? What's the average? Like 5 hours a day in North America? It's like throw up, you know? Anyways, that's why people are doing this because they're hopeless. So we got to get up. We got to believe in something. We got to stand for something and know that you are going to get tested. Your beliefs are going to get tested. I think that's the number one thing in leadership you need to understand too is that, and it doesn't matter what you're leading, but you have to expose your beliefs and your values and who you are and what you stand for and where you're going and all of that stuff. And people are going to test that because it's, once again, a new idea to the way that they're programmed to believe. But I think when you can get people to buy in and get them to change what they believe, magical things will happen in their life.
Woo! Woo! I mean, just I can smell it. It's cooking, man.
Right?
And it gets back to story, right? Each of your answers I could understand in the context of Melanie, your story, your experience firsthand in business with all on the shelves. I mean, you painted a very clear picture. And likewise, Greg, you know, when you really drew it up, I mean, it was your story. And it's real because it's not just a story you're telling, it's your experience, right?